Laura adjusted her glasses as she scanned the flea market, her gaze scanning the tables covered with a mix of antiques and trinkets. The afternoon was mild, and the sound of vendors chattering mingled with the distant song of a bird. There was something fascinating and comforting about the search for hidden treasures, something that resonated with her desire to bring what was hidden to light. She stopped at a table where an antique mirror sat, framed in delicate dark woodwork. The surface was a little tarnished, and the frame showed signs of wear, but there was something intriguing about the piece. Laura felt an inexplicable curiosity, a sense that the mirror had a story to tell. The vendor, an elderly man with a friendly smile, noticed her interest. "Ah, the mirror," he said in a tone of voice that seemed to carry a secret. "It was from an old lady's house. They say it has a peculiar way of showing things." Laura laughed, thinking it was just a sales pitch. With a nod, she bought the mirror and took it to her office. On the way back, she couldn't help but think about what the salesman had said. When Laura placed the mirror in her office, she strategically positioned it on a visible wall. Her therapy room was cozy, with comfortable furniture and soft lighting, but the mirror seemed to occupy a special space. As the light reflected off the opaque surface, Laura felt a slight chill down her spine, a premonition that something was about to change. During her first session with a client, Laura noticed a slightly strange reflection in the mirror, but she decided to ignore it. She thought it was just the lighting or a play of shadows. The uncomfortable feeling quickly passed, and Laura focused on her work, never realizing that this mirror would completely transform her life. For the first week after the mirror arrived, Laura continued to work as usual. However, something strange began to happen. The mirror, which had previously seemed like a decorative object, began to reveal more than just the client's physical appearance. During a session with a young woman named Clara who struggled with anxiety, Laura noticed something unusual. Clara was talking about her fears about the future, trying to maintain a calm and collected demeanor. However, when the young woman looked into the mirror, Laura noticed a reflection that did not match the calm expression Clara was trying to portray. The mirror seemed to show a face contorted with panic, an expression of deep despair. Laura hesitated, but decided to use the information to help Clara. "I can tell there's something more you're feeling," Laura said gently. "The mirror sometimes reflects feelings we can't express." Clara was surprised, but began to talk about an underlying fear she had never mentioned before. This revelation allowed Laura to offer more targeted advice, and Clara left the session feeling a sense of relief. With each new session, Laura began to notice similar patterns. The mirror seemed to show the true nature of her client's emotions and intentions. When a middle-aged man came to her, saying he was happy in his work, the mirror revealed a tired and disillusioned look that contradicted his words. Laura helped him explore the discontent he had been unable to express, leading him to make important decisions about his professional life. Laura found herself increasingly fascinated by the mirror and its inexplicable capabilities. She felt she was touching something deep, something that could revolutionize her approach as a therapist. The satisfaction of seeing her clients face their true fears and emotions brought a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment. However, amid this new phase of professional success, Laura began to feel a slight uneasiness. Something in the back of her mind made her question what, exactly, the mirror was revealing about herself. But these concerns were quickly put aside, as the positive impact on her client's well-being was evident and encouraging. Over time, the mirror began to reflect more than just the client's emotions. It began to show disturbing aspects of Laura herself. The impact of these inner revelations became evident in her everyday and professional life. One quiet evening, Laura was alone in her office, organizing some documents. The mirror was in front of her, reflecting the soft light of the desk lamp. As she scanned the papers, the image in the mirror began to change. Laura saw her own expression contort into a mixture of fear and guilt. The sight made her stop abruptly. The reflection showed Laura with an expression of shame and failure that did not match her external demeanor. Laura turned away from the mirror, trying to rationalize the vision. "It's just a play of light," she muttered to herself, trying to shake off the growing discomfort. But the feeling persisted. Over the next few days, Laura began to notice these disturbing visions more frequently. The mirror revealed a version of herself full of insecurities that she had tried to hide even from herself. In her next session with a client, Laura realized that her ability to help was beginning to diminish. She felt distracted and anxious, which did not go unnoticed by her clients. As she watched their faces reflected in the mirror, Laura's inner fears began to override her ability to offer genuine support. Her confidence was being eroded by her own visions in the mirror, and this negatively affected her practice. Laura tried to ignore the visions, focusing on coping techniques and meditation, but the uneasiness persisted. In moments of solitude, she would spend hours staring at the mirror, trying to understand what it was trying to show her. The visions were not just of professional failure, but also of deep personal insecurities, such as the feeling of not living up to the expectations of others and the fear of never being truly loved. This internal struggle began to manifest itself in her work and in her personal relationships. Laura isolated herself from friends and family, worried about showing her vulnerabilities. She struggled to maintain a facade of normalcy, while the mirror seemed to continue to unearth and amplify her own inner shadows. Laura's emotional state began to deteriorate rapidly. The disturbing visions in the mirror became more intense and frequent. Each day, Laura struggled to maintain control, but the images became inescapable and increasingly intrusive. One particularly difficult afternoon, Laura decided to face her fears and look directly into the mirror, hoping that it might bring some kind of clarity. She was alone in her office, and the atmosphere was tense, marked by silence and the growing darkness outside the window. The office lights cast long, eerie shadows that stretched across the room. Laura stepped closer to the mirror, her heart pounding. In the reflection, Laura's image distorted, showing a terrifying version of herself. The face in the mirror was contorted in an expression of pain and anger, the eyes glowing with a disturbing intensity. It was as if the mirror were revealing an aspect of her psyche that she had tried desperately to hide. As she watched, the reflection began to speak, its distorted voice filling the room with an accusation that Laura could not ignore. "You have always hidden behind others," the reflection said. "You have never faced your own shadows. Now see what you hide from yourself." Laura tried to pull away, but she felt herself freeze. The image seemed to come to life, advancing toward her through the glass. She was confronting a monstrous version of herself, a figure that accused her of flaws and repressed fears. The image showed Laura committing acts that she repelled, such as cruelty to her clients and neglecting her own emotional needs. The confrontation was devastating and painful, and Laura felt a wave of shame and despair. In despair, Laura knelt on the floor, covering her face with her hands. Tears rolled down her face as she began to accept the truth about her flaws and insecurities. The mirror was forcing her to face what she had always tried to avoid: the pain of her own past and the imperfections she had refused to acknowledge. With tremendous effort, Laura began to speak to her reflection, acknowledging her mistakes and expressing her desire to change. She apologized to herself for not taking care of her own emotions and committed to facing the shadows she had ignored. The mirror, as if understanding her sincerity, began to show a calmer and more accepting image. The confrontation with her own shadows was a pivotal moment. Laura realized that she needed to face her flaws and reconnect with her own humanity in order to move forward. After the painful confrontation with her shadows, Laura was determined to turn her experience into an opportunity for personal growth. The mirror, which had previously seemed like an object of torment, was now seen by Laura as a tool for self-reflection and transformation. Laura began to consciously work on her insecurities and flaws. Instead of hiding behind a facade of perfection, she decided to be honest with her clients about her own vulnerabilities. This new level of openness brought a deeper level of connection and empathy into her sessions. Her clients noticed the change, and many felt they were connecting with a therapist who was not only knowledgeable but also genuine about their personal struggles. Laura also began to engage in more conscious self-care. She made time for activities that brought her joy and fulfillment, such as walking outdoors and reading books that inspired her. Meditation became an important part of her daily routine, helping her maintain balance and emotional clarity. The mirror, now placed in a special corner of her office, served as a constant reminder of her journey. Laura used the mirror to do regular self-assessments, no longer as an object of fear, but as a symbol of her strength and growth. She learned to see her imperfections as opportunities for improvement and growth, rather than flaws to be hidden. In a final session with a client, Laura felt a deep sense of satisfaction as she saw how her new approach was benefiting her clients in significant ways. The client, a young man who had struggled with self-esteem issues, left the session with a renewed sense of hope and self-confidence. Laura smiled as she saw herself in the mirror, now reflecting an expression of peace and acceptance. The experience with the mirror had been transformative. Laura had learned that facing her own shadows was not a sign of weakness, but an essential part of the path to true self-acceptance and growth. She had found a new way to be more authentic, both in her personal and professional life, and was ready to continue helping others with a new perspective. As Laura looked into the mirror now, she saw not just a reflection of her own image, but a testament to her journey of transformation. The mirror, with its power of revelation, had done its job, not only revealing hidden truths, but helping Laura become the best version of herself. Laura sat in her office, gazing into the mirror with a sense of gratitude and reflection. The mirror, once a symbol of torment and doubt, now served as a constant reminder of her journey of self-discovery and growth. She reflected on how she had faced her own shadows and learned to accept her flaws, understanding that true strength came from authenticity and the courage to confront oneself. The change was not easy, but it was essential to her personal and professional growth. With a serene smile, Laura stood up and moved the mirror to a more prominent place, where its presence could inspire not only her, but also her clients. The mirror would continue to play a role in her life, no longer as an object of fear, but as a symbol of her resilience and self-acceptance. The future looked bright, and Laura was ready to face it with a new perspective and a more open mind.